Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Chris. You probably haven't heard of me before, or not very much. I have been a dating coach for a number of years, but it's pretty much been under the radar just working with um, successful guys who really had their life together, wanted to figure this part out, and that's who I work with still. I wanted to put together this video because I remember when I got started with dating in general, and that was back almost 10 years ago now. And I didn't really have anyone who could just show me what was going on. And so this isn't everything, but this is how to take a conversation on any dating app. I've been on a lot of dating apps. I find them all pretty similar. And it probably can work for Instagram and other places you might want to go, but this definitely works for the dating apps. This is just straight up pretty much a flow chart I made at one point for my clients. I've been told the flow chart alone is worth the price admission into my program by somebody who was like, please never share this. But that was ages ago, and I mean, he said it as a joke. And, I don't know how long I'm going to actually be coaching people. And I think I just get annoyed seeing how much kind of BS is out there within the dating world. So I just thought, hey, I'll share this with you. If it's useful, cool. And if it's not, it is what it is. But if somebody has been getting matches and struggling with turning those into dates, this is the in between spot. This is that bridge. And um, maybe at the end of this video or in a link or on a comment or description or something, I'll put I think I'm going to rewrite a book I wrote a while ago. It was called Conquer Tinder at the time. I think this new updated one will be like the guide to dating apps or something, because they're all pretty similar once you understand the basics, and then it's just diving in. So this is what I've given actual clients who they followed this system and got dates. And I just think it's nice to actually know what to say and what to do. So I want to go over the process really quick. So you're going to need to have a profile that's working. I probably have that at the top here. Describing kind of like you need a profile that's attracting in the type of women you want, or at least showing the version of you want to be like women to be seen. And then you also need a description or answering questions based on the app you're using that's bringing matches in. So if you are getting matches, this is a system that can work for you. At least I know it's worked for me. It's worked for a number of different guys I've helped, and they've been different. Like they've been in different places. I think most of the guys I've worked with have been in the United States. When I sold the book Conquer Tinder, I know people were buying it in other countries and getting success there too. But I know certainly what I'm working from the one-on-one guys. It works in in cities and like suburb areas. But this is the strategy that I use almost to this day. I don't use it word for word anymore because obviously this is my thing, so I've kind of adapted. But I had to like really strip it away to make it what it is. So if you've been struggling with texting or getting dates, this is what I would recommend using. Now, you'll notice, and I have been more direct or more forward. So, like, I think a lot of people have all these questions of, well, what is Tinder a hookup app or a dating app? Which apps are for relationships? Which apps are for hookups? Oh, by the way, this is more for men than for women. I've helped men. Women, I think I don't know what can apply to you and what can't because I haven't been you. Typically, when I've helped women, or at least just friends, I've reviewed their dating profile and we've cleaned that up, and then they've have to sift through men. And if you are a woman watching this, the recommendation I would have for you, which actually goes against what I would recommend for men, but if you are a woman, this is what I would recommend you doing, is asking the guy if he'll do a video call with you before the date. That way you can get a better sense of who he is. You can have a 15 or 20-minute conversation with him, get to know him a little bit. And what you want to do there is you get to tune into your intuition, your instincts, and be like, okay, are any red flags ringing off? This isn't you determining if you're going to marry the guy or anything like that. It's to notice if there's any red flags and to notice how you feel when you're talking to him. Now, if you're a guy, I would recommend you don't need to go through that step. There's a lot of women that will have friction with that, and so the goal of all messaging is really to move to the date. Now, one thing that I do now, which once you have more familiarity with dating or you have a lot of matches, is I'm even more conversational than what you'll see here. And the reason I'm more conversational is because I'm actually just trying to suss out if we're a good match, because really I understand at the end of the day there's only like I just need one woman that I really connect with. I know how to date. I know how to connect with someone, how to um, build rapport quickly and all those sorts of things. So I'm looking hardcore for compatibility and really screening on that. Not super hard on the front end, but making sure any of the sort of big deal breakers, which are typically related to life situations, like what we want long term or something like that, those are being figured out for me. But if you're just jumping into dating, you're just trying to figure out how all this works. Um, I would recommend just like getting out there, going on dates. Obviously, if there's red flags, like don't go with that person, but like start dating. Yes, the pandemic's kind of wrapping up. Based on when I'm filming this, I don't know what dating rules are in your city. Proceed at your own risk. I take no liability or responsibility. That being said, even during the pandemic, I was going. I don't know. I've gone on 5 or 6 first dates during the pandemic. Using which apps did I use? I used Tinder. I used Hinge. Other apps I have where I've had like Facebook dating. Um, Other apps I've used where we've had like tentative agreements where we will eventually meet up is the League. I'm using Coffee Meets Bagel right now. Those are kind of my primary apps. But I mean, so what I'm saying can relate to all of them, and it's based on what do you actually want. So this is more related to the situation where you're going on a date with a person. And I'm not going to get into date design here, but you have a bar that you like to take them to. You have during the pandemic, I was like just going on a walk with them or meeting at a park. Yeah, OK Cupid was another one that I used. So yeah, you can use to get a date during this whole pandemic thing. I mean, like this thing works pretty much wherever you're using it. So just play along with it. And um, I have a PDF version of this that you can kind of use to review and like zoom in and zoom out. And at the end of this video, maybe I'll put like a link to either for the PDF. You may have to opt in. It may just be a link directly to it. I need to figure out how that works. And on the other end, a little long-winded, but I promise this video is actually going to be worth it versus what I see a lot of people do. We're really going to get into the nitty-gritty here. And I'm really considering updating my dating apps book like I talked about. So if that's of interest to you, it'll be free, but you'll need to put in your username, or you'll need to put in your email to say that you're interested in it. It is not written yet. Um, I wrote this book a few years ago. I just wanted to really clean it up, really update it so it's relevant to current state, to all the dating apps, and that way you can just kind of really hit the ground running with that too. So that'll be out not long, a couple weeks if there's interest. So yeah. Anyhow, now let's dive in. So this is generally speaking, the entire my entire dating framework for messaging, and I think it's useful to realize like it's not that complicated. It can be easy. So I'll walk through it. Some of it there might be small updates that I want to make given state of things now, but all of this. The interesting thing is, I actually learned a lot of what I know with social skills now through text messages with women, and the way I initially learned this strategy. So this isn't coming from some of it's coming from my intuition, gut instinct, especially the more I've done this. But the way I initially got comfortable with this and good with this was when Tinder came out in 2013. I was a nightclub promoter in Las Vegas, and the app came out, and our social media director said, "Hey guys, can you talk to girls on this app and get them to go into the club?" So I was excited for the getting them to go to the club, but I was way more excited to possibly go on dates off Tinder. Actually had moved to Las Vegas to learn how to talk to women after a 23-year dry spell, and so that's what ended up bringing me to Las Vegas in the first place. Kind of out of left field, and I was a mechanical engineering major, so very left brained. So when Tinder came out and I was using it, at first I was having no results, none, no matches. And then I started realizing, then I started checking in with pictures and started learning what ones worked and what ones didn't. A quick tip there: if you're on Facebook or any social media channels, um, what might be a useful picture to put is the one with the most likes and comments on it. That's a possibility as your sort of profile picture, and then you might even just go down the line from there. But I mean, there is definitely nuance to that, and I work with guys on that. If you don't have good pictures, you are shooting yourself in the foot. You will need to. I would strongly recommend a photographer if you want to take dating apps seriously. You need to do the shoot once. It's going to be somewhere between $100 and a couple $100, and it'll take 1 to 2 hours, and then you're set. You're set for like pretty much as long as you want to be dating, at least 5 years. And I think that's a useful investment considering how many apps are out now. Um, and some of those can even be recycled or repurposed for other things. But anyhow, now we're getting on a tangent. So if you so the way I learned this was first I sucked at the messages, the pictures, and then I sucked at the messaging. And then the way I started learning the messaging was I was looking at what the women were putting in their profiles, what they were messaging me, and I was just texting it back to them. So I guess you could call this concept mirroring. I actually eventually called it girl text, but I mean honestly, it's just emotional texting. So it's texting with sort of a small emotional impact, and you'll see plenty of examples in here of how that's done, so you can do it yourself. Like you can literally copy and paste these messages into your thing, and you will get results. So I'm going to walk through that, and like yeah, because then we get into like here where we we get into some fun like examples of ways that you can really make this your own, really like pick and choose what you want to do, and you pick one from here, you pick one from here, you put it in here, and that's the way you go through this messaging. So anyhow, let's dive in. So by the way that I think about this, again, once you match, the goal is to get the date. In order to get the date, she needs to feel comfortable with you. Women don't need you to ask them millions of questions to feel comfortable with you. So it's really just about being kind of fun, being kind of playful, being light. And you're going to see that in these messages, and asking a few questions to get to know her. And then the questions that I ask are rapport questions, but they also merge with scheduling questions, because what you really want to do is find out when she's available for a date. And I think a lot of people are going to say, get the date ASAP. I think that's useful, but it's based on her schedule and when it can work. So you're going to see what I do here. You take what I share, make it your own. It's a useful starting place. I've covered, I would say, if we're talking 80-20 rule, maybe I've even covered 90-10, but certainly I didn't cover everything. Certainly this is imperfect, but this is a whole lot better than what I see most people out there doing. And I find it just amusing how often people will like make their text messages so complex and complicated and convoluted so you don't know what to do. So you're like, wow, that was a really cool text message I just saw and read, but I don't know how to do that, and then they're like breaking it down line by line with why they did what they did, but it's too complicated. So that's what I see a lot of these dating coach guru people do is they're like, oh well, I'm the clever one. Look at how funny and clever I am, girl by girl. Well, respectfully, I mean, it's nice to be individualized with your messaging, but if you don't know what you're doing, sure as heck you're going to want something to start with, right? So let this be the training wheels. Go from there. If you like this, if you like how I do this, my coaching is a whole lot better. It is exclusive and expensive, so this is free. Enjoy, and I'm very curious to know what you think. So yeah, it goes from open, and then we go into the rapport building. We ask how they're doing, how their day's been, some version of that. Potentially, it's a question about the description of their profile or a photo that they've got or an interest they have. Then we go to scheduling. How's your day so far? What do you got going on this week? Anything exciting happening this week? These questions are moving the conversation towards her beginning to think about her schedule, and the majority of questions we're asking are positively framed. So one thing that you want to know is like, why not be positively framed? She's on dating apps to ideally find somebody, possibly even just to have fun. There's plenty of girls on dating apps just because it's another thing. It's like Snapchat, it's like TikTok, it's like whatever the current app is that's out. So you don't need to be the most captivating person, but you do need to be interesting. So we go into that here. Or you need to be fun and playful, and so it's really just throwing in LOLs and smileys and ha-has, and maybe you're saying, "Hey, this isn't me." Well, I mean, do what you can to make it you, but if you're not a fun person and you can't display that over messaging, she's just not going to meet with you. This is really just how do you adjust your messaging so that she's interested in meeting you. So once you get the scheduling down and she gives you an opening, and there's certainly better openings than others. Like ideally, it's great for her to say, I'm free all the week. How about you? But if she doesn't give you that, well, then we have alternatives. We have options for, okay, well, sounds like she's busy, sounds like she's sick. I'll get back to her a little bit later. Meanwhile, you kind of let the conversation cool down and then you take a break from it because there's not much more to be done in the meantime. Um, but if she's all go, then you go through the logistics of setting up the date and you say, "Cool, well, what's your schedule like this week?" Or "Cool, what do you think about drinks on Thursday or Friday this week?" And usually you want to give an option. That way, if she can't do one day, she's free for another. It's kind of saving you from getting a no. Although if she says no, it's not the end of the world. And then you go and ask for her phone number. So I tend to do all of this on the dating app. Some people are going to say, "Hey, jump off the dating app as soon as possible." My philosophy is, yeah, I mean, get off the dating app ASAP. I mean, that's still kind of my thinking, but like at the end of the day, you may as well just set up the date on the dating app because if she isn't going to agree to the like if you're not going to be able to get there on the dating app, it's likely to still flake out on the phone, although you might feel good getting the number from a text message. And so here's what I tend to send for my text message, and I'll go through the actual spreadsheet. But what I tend to send is something like, "Okay, excited for our date," but I won't ever use the word date. So, "Hey, excited for Monday and drinks. Um, Texting's a lot easier for me. What's your number?" Or I might just say, "Is there an easier way to contact you than the dating apps?" Or, "I'm not on these dating apps very much. What's an easier way to reach out to you?" And nowadays, I think women are much more comfortable giving out their number, but I mean, you don't need anything that clever, but putting any rationalization will help. So texting is easier. I'd rather not be on the dating app. Like these are all just easy things to do. And for me, I mean, I just find it is easier because like I'll message a girl and it'll be 2 or 3 days sometimes before she'll respond, and so it's like, okay, well, our flow keeps getting blocked because of the dating app. So anyhow, that's what I kind of wanted to go into. So we go from the open all the way until, let's see, all the way until, yep, all the way into the phone stuff. And yeah, so anyhow, I'll just dive right in. So the open is ideally an observation or compliment that is light and playful and references something meaningful in her description or profile pics. Now, meaningful is the operative word here, and meaningful means emotionally significant. So things that a girl finds emotionally significant will vary but include the dog, the hair, the piercing, the tattoo, the frame of glasses, her style, filters, social media presence, her Myers-Briggs profile, photo execution, sports team, hometown, energy. So that's one that I actually say a lot. "Hey, I really like your energy." That's how one of my clients got his girlfriend, some version of that. Unique points in description, like new in town, believe it or not, welcoming her into town, saying, "Hey, welcome to town," or like, "How are you enjoying it so far?" I was shocked at how often that works. I thought new in town would be weird to say that when I initially got into this years ago. It actually works pretty well. Or quirks of what they're looking for in the guy. So sometimes they'll say things about the guy, and I'll actually point out that when I'm reaching out. Like can't even remember, but that was a recent way I opened a girl in conversation. And anyhow, So that those are all that's sort of the way of thinking about it. Here's some go-tos. Nice, hair game on point. How was your Monday? Aw, such a handsome pup. LOL, ready for the weekend. Hey, welcome to whatever city she's in. How are you enjoying it so far? Nice, selfie game on point. LOL, how's your weekend going? Nice, Insta game on point. LOL, how's your weekend going? Namaste. Appreciating good vibes. Ready for the weekend. So obviously the second piece, which we'll get into in just a sec, would get adjusted based on like day of the week. Like if it's Tuesday, you're going to say, how's your Tuesday, not how's your Monday. But feeling the positive energy, how's Monday treating you? Love it. So true is that last pick your pup. So love it, so true. This would have been like a Hinge. On Hinge, you can like leave a little comment when you're liking a message. So you could be like, love it, so true to whatever a comment was. You could even say, love that you're so passionate about politics. Love that you're so passionate about mountain biking, about cooking. How's your Monday treating you? Whatever. Or is that last pick your pup? So that was a different question I asked. But it's all question, or it's all some observation about them plus some form of open-ended question, oftentimes scheduling related question. How's your week looking? A combination of rapport and scheduling. So I'm a Myers-Briggs type. Think that'll work for us. So you can do that for Leo sign. You can do that for your astrology signs. You can do that for your Myers-Briggs type. You can do that for anything. Like you could say like, I'm a Niners fan. Think it's going to work out between us. Now this is like so 49ers is a sports team. So you can do that for anything. And now you're throwing a little bit of friction in there. It's just fun. Here's even more messages that received a reply that, I sent. Aw, Teddy's adorable, and you seem so fun and open too. So ready for Monday. So Teddy was a dog. Wow, Mowgli is adorable. Mowgli was a dog. You seem like a great mix of driven and silly too. How's your weekend, your Wednesday? Wow, quite a few countries. So what are the options for number 40? Because the girl said she went to 39 countries so far. So it's about being playful, not even like that playful, just playful enough. And I lived in Austin at one point in time when I initially created this. So hey, welcome to Austin. How are you enjoying the city? So like that's it. And then she's going to respond. And based on her response, this is sort of the way you're going to look at it. So often here, I'll begin with an opening question related to what her profile says. This is not always easy, and there's not always much to comment on. More to come on this. As a backup, I'll go with these. Okay, so this was related to the opening, and I kind of talked about that. So priming for schedule. So this is based on how she's responding. The question is based on when you want to see her and when you're texting. Yeah, so first I do like a schedule check-in, and so it's like, so this is how we kind of take a look at the responses. So take a look over here, positively framed start of message. So let's say you ask her how her week's going, and she's like, tells you something exciting. These are any number of things you can say to start the response. Perfect, great, ha, I'm jealous, ha, nice, interesting, how fun, how, ha, congrats, that's exciting. Oh, nice, wow, that's so cool. Wow, that's so cool that you went bungee jumping. How interesting, sounds fun. Does she ask about you? If so, then you would throw in a rapport builder. And a rapport builder is something like, I also like to bungee jump, or like everything's concise. And if not, you don't really need to throw in. Okay, so here we go. Here's the rapport builders. Same here. I love doing that. I was just thinking the same thing. I've always wanted to blank. I love that too. X is my favorite. Love X. X is the best. I wish I got to X also. So these are all ways of early on building rapport with somebody where like they start feeling a little bit more connected to you. So I don't know. Some people think this stuff's manipulative. I feel like you're finally actually learning how rapport works. This is rapport. This took me a long friggin' time to understand this is how rapport works. So rapport is, generally speaking, appreciating something about the person. You can or can't say something about you. It does help especially when they ask you to. But early on, I don't do it as much only because like we're just getting the conversation going. So I don't want to give long-winded things, but I want her to know about me and know that we're on the same page. So this is a rapport builder. So first, positive appreciation about her. Next, rapport builder. And by the way, I do this with guys too, not for dating, but for just connecting with people. Like I use this in my small talk, social skills, networking events. It's began with messaging, but then it sort of influenced how I do a lot of other things. And then yeah, and so yeah, you can do a rapport builder. If she doesn't ask about you, you don't have to. And then here's the other thing. So let's say she says her week sucks or whatever. So her week sucks, her week's busy. Ugh, that sucks. And you throw in some emojis. I get that. That sucks. Slash face. That's terrible. Seriously? What? So these are all emotive messages, and we combine or don't combine those with the rapport builders, and then we tack on a question that we haven't asked yet. So, how's your week so far? How's your week starting off? How's your day? If we ask that in the open, then we would go to here, priming for the schedule check-in. So the reply is the positive affirmation or negative affirmation of what's going on in her life, plus the rapport builder, and then it's followed by ready for the weekend, excited it's almost the weekend, anything fun happening this weekend yet? How's your week so far? How's your week playing out? Um, by the way, I don't go as hard and heavy on the schedule questions anymore. It's extremely useful, especially when you're getting used to all this, because you can set up a date quickly this way. For me, I pull it back and go into rapport more. And even if you ask these questions and you start realizing, oh, okay, I might need to pull back in rapport, you can do that and then jump back into scheduling date related questions. So you're going to ask how the week's playing out. And this question is, so the plans question. So this question is based on when you want to see her, when you're texting, if you want to schedule a date. So let's say you ask how her week's going. She gives you some information, maybe about when she's available, maybe about when she's not available, how busy her week is, whatever it happens to be. Your response is going to be, again, this reply of like positively framed start of message. Considering, does she ask about you? Should you throw in a rapport builder? And the rapport builders here are really just to let her know you're on the same page. This isn't your time to apply for the position of boyfriend. This isn't your time of saying, I want you to know like everything there is to know about me. That's for the date. Like unless you have so many options of women right now, let's go to setting up the date rather than making sure she fits every criteria you have. Bring that to the date. On the date, you can start asking more questions about the type of woman that you're interested in. It does get a little more advanced. You can do this stuff on the texting. This is very useful to get you going. Okay, so we get into the plan. So you're going to reply like I was saying, and then say, so anything fun, so anything exciting planned for the weekend yet? You don't have to say exciting. You can switch out words. All of this is just to get you going. All of this is just to get you going. Make it your own. Anything fun on the agenda this week yet? Up to anything fun this week so far? So the goal here, and I do this sometimes in the opening message, is we're finding out what her availability is. We're talking about the fun stuff, because if you just say, is anything planned for the weekend yet? She could be like, I've got a doctor's appointment. Like she can just give you stuff happening in her life. I've got a busy work day. What you're looking for is where are your opportunities for setting up a date. And through this, she's going to tell you, generally she's going to reply with nothing yet, something so far. And then oftentimes what's a really good sign is when she asks, what about you? Because then that's a sign, an opportunity for you to say, not much going on in my life yet, not much whatever, or I've got this one thing, but what do you think about going on a date? So that's based on her response here. So you're going to ask anything exciting about the week, and we're going to go into the rapport side next of if things get off tangent for any reason. But then you go into the date request. So she's going to tell you her schedule, and she might say something she's doing. You're going to go back and be like, okay, well, that sounds really fun. I love that band. Oh, how cool that you get to see them. I've always wanted to see them. Oh, how great that you're going to go visit SoCal. When do you get back? You must be so excited. When do you get back? Like, so it's some exclamation, something, some sort of statement either about her, about how excited she is, or about you, about something you're interested in related to it, and then follow up question. So if she was going to SoCal, that would actually go into the rapport side because you're trying to find out when she's going to get back. Um, because as much as you're interested in her, and that's fine, if your goal is to set up the date, you actually want to know what's the scheduling here happening. So the date request, pick one, like and make it your own. So when I work with guys, there's a few ways they can do dates. One is just to have their standard date. They're comfortable with, they're solid with. They're like, I'm gonna go to this bar, and from this bar we're gonna go to this place, and then from this place we're gonna go to this place, or we're gonna go to this park. Whatever your thing is. Like maybe they have one kind of go-to thing, or maybe they're a guy where they're just like in the moment. They just want to like throw something out there and see what happens. But I recommend you recommending something and then seeing what she says. And generally speaking, you might as well recommend it be in your area, your side of town. You're probably more familiar with it, and her coming to see you or you going to see her, it's kind of all the same in the big scheme of things. So if she's willing to and you put it out there, then just let her come to you. Now, if you put that and she's like, oh, that's too far for me or something like that, then determine where you do want to see her. Or if you really want, for whatever reason, to go to where she's at, then that's fine. But like, just make your decision based on what you want to do for the date. I work on this obviously with guys. We'll go through friggin' Yelp if we have to find exactly where we want to pin down their date or exactly what they want to do for their date. But like, yeah, that's the idea. So yeah, you can do any reply like, wow, that sounds really fun. Well, grab a drink sometime you're free. Let's go for a hike sometime you're free. What do you think? So want to grab food sometime you're free. So I do this sort of like throw out the date option. And the big words here are sometime you're free because I used to find when I wouldn't throw those words out, what would happen is she'd be like, you'd be like, wanna grab a drink, and then she's like, I'm not free right now, or like there would be all these assumptions that would be mashed in. So sometime you're free, sometime we're both free. The idea is to really clarify. You're not saying now, you're not saying later. It's when are they free? Okay. So if they say yes in less than 24 hours, this is where I start going into like getting the phone number. Um, um, you can determine when. Like, so you're going to go into scheduling. If they say yes a little bit later on, you might want to consider switching to asking for a phone number before finalizing the date plans. So that's kind of, I'm still fine these days with just doing it over the app. I'm pretty, but it's also because I'm a lot less like I don't care as much if a girl flakes on me anymore. I've got plenty of options. There's plenty of women out there. I'm just looking for the one amazing woman I want to have a life with, right? So if like it falls through the cracks or like she doesn't respond in a certain amount of time or it's just slower or like then in my opinion it just wasn't meant to be. That's a very like I don't know if that's woo woo or what, but that's just the way I see things now. But I mean, this is a little bit more calculated, a little bit more intentional with like maximizing your the possibility of connecting and moving towards the date. So it's maybe like a certain percentage, small but higher percentage chance following one of these two things. So if she says yes to you throwing out an idea, and by the way, like even if you go onto the reporting side for a while, which we'll get to in a sec, if any like thing comes up or you're sensing it's not convenient enough to go into the actual messaging. And by the way, in the book, should I create it, which I plan to, but be really useful if you're to enter your email to let me know you actually want it. I will put actual text examples. So this is like really useful as a guide, but if you want to actually see them in action, that will be there too. So she says yes in less than 24 hours. You're gonna again say some sort of thing, some sort of positive statement. That's always going to be there, and then possibly rapport builder if necessary. Probably not though, because now we're getting more into let's just sort of get all this stuff cleared up. So something like, oh, that sounds awesome. Free later today. Oh, how about Thursday evening? How about blank or blank around whenever, and now you're gonna and you can kind of combine these, mix and match them as you want. But when I used to do this, I used to be really religious with this. It was pick day, possibly throw in time, and then and usually when I did time, I would say like around 7 p.m. or in the evening or in the afternoon, but usually around the time. And then in the next message, I'd say, that's funny. So apparently I didn't update this yet. So I would say something like, uh, how about place at time? And I might throw in, or let's do place at time that work. Or you can say, like, these are just, how's that sound? So I mean, it's all really the same. This is just like really kind of getting, minimal here. I just find it hilarious. I didn't put it in there yet. And the place, you want to make sure that you are descriptive enough with it. So that would be like I've had girls show up, let's say it was a bar that was a chain, go to the wrong bar. And so now I'll say like bar's name and like the street it's on. So like, Fridays on Fifth, although I've never taken a girl to Fridays. Kung Fu Saloon on Fourth Street. That way it's extremely, or what is it on? It's on Fifth. That way it's extremely clear for her where the date is happening at. So she says yes. Then I'm going to say, okay, awesome. Texting's easier. What's your number? Another way of saying this is, I'm not on here much. Would you mind texting instead? All right, well, we got to make that box a little bit prettier, but I think you get the idea here. Let's see how that goes. There we go. So would you mind texting instead? So again, we're always having this positive response. Oh, awesome. Some version of that. And then we're getting her phone number. Now she gives you her number. Immediately, you are going to text her, hey, her name, it's your name from dating app or site, open-ended question related to what you've already talked about. How's everything going? How's studying going? How's work going? Did you end up getting to take the dog out? This is generally going to be related to the question that you asked, the information that you got earlier on based on the opening message or so you got. So based on what she kind of told you she was doing, you're going to ask a follow-up question based on that. And then you may have one or more rapport-related questions based on what you've spoken about before you sort of just let the texts calm down and die down. Like from here on out, a rule of thumb would be you're going to probably be sending maybe 1 to 3. Maybe you'll have a day where you don't send any messages to her. And so you'll send a message, she'll respond, and my messages typically are just about how her things have been going. I'll show you a few sort of check-in messages that you can use. Again, pretty much everything I'm teaching now, I've made my own even more. So like I'll do these things and I would strongly recommend them because it's what everything I text and message is based on and what I teach. But you can make it your own, and that's what I do these days. So wait till day of date. And so here's an option if the date is like next day or day after. So if it's not too long, you're going to want to wait till the day of the date. So let's say today, when I'm recording this, now it's Wednesday. So, but it's Wednesday at midnight. So yeah, let's just pretend it's Wednesday. Let's say we set up the date on Wednesday. And if we're Wednesday at midnight and I set up a date for Wednesday later in the day, then I would definitely follow this and check in. Basically, the idea is check in. And this is where a lot of guys will blame women for being flakes, and they're not flakes. The guy didn't check in. So just check in. It's not on her, it's on you. So, hey, how's your day so far? Um, or scale from 1 to 10, how's your day so far? Hey, how did that thing she spoke about earlier go? So rapport re-engager. Sometimes she'll reconfirm date here. Answers vary based on questions, but usually often will be her just asking some question back, at which point you reply to anything she said and then tack on, does 8 p.m. still work for you? So you're asking, is the time of the date still works? So this is another thing I see guys mess up a lot. It's about confirming the details, not confirming if the date is still happening. It's just a small thing, but it's related to like showing that you're not like displaying insecurity. So if you were to say, hey, um, hey, are we still going to go on that date? Now she's going to be kind of like, why did he ask that? Versus being like, hey, is 8 p.m. still work for you? Now you're actually just being considerate and checking in if that's a good time. Okay, so that's option one. Now let's say that oh yeah, okay, so here we go. Date is same day, you're good. Only text if she texts. Cool. Unless it were so if it were like a few hours later, and then you would probably text like, hey, I got to the bar or something like that. But um, and by the way, I keep saying bar. Not all my dates are at bars. Not all your dates have to be at bars. It's just an easy reference point. So okay, so date is beyond next day or day after. Wait till day before the date and text between 11 and 2 p.m. So I say this time window of 11 and 2 p.m. because that's when people are awake. That's when, like generally speaking, your dates are going to be somewhere between 4 and 7 p.m. is sort of the sweet spot I've found to start a date. But if you are changing it in either way, we'll obviously change these rules to suit you. It's about just sending a confirmation text early enough in the same day so that she's actually going to show up for the date. So rapport re-engager, hey, how's your day so far? Or scale from 1 to 10, how's your day so far? Or hey, how did that, yeah, okay, so same thing as over here. Answers vary based on questions, but usually, okay, so same thing as here. Does place still work? So as you see, this is the day before the date is when you're sending this. Does the place still work? And then the date of the date, again, ask a question that you haven't asked yet. So you might have to spin some creativity wheels here, but I know I certainly have at times. But then rapport re-engager, and then you're just going to be saying, excited to see you, excited for later, see you at question mark. And yeah, you should be done at this point, and maybe just have one more reply. So this is my final message is reply plus excited for later, see you at whatever time. So that's the way I do things. And by the way, now based on the length of time in between seeing her, I might do a few rapport building messages. So when I first started doing dating apps, I didn't enjoy the messaging. I thought it was like fun to get responses and things, but now I legitimately just enjoy the dating messaging process. And so I actually just have fun getting to know her and talking to her and finding out what's going on in her life. So you're welcome to do that, but be cautious if you haven't done it very much yet, because it's very easy for a guy to overdo the messaging. And we'll go into a few of the rules I have for messaging that I followed religiously when I got started. And the reason I did is I didn't really know what I was doing. So, having some rules to sort of follow to get you going is a good start. And then I find rules were made to be broken. So do whatever you want with those. Okay, so rapport. So here's things you can do, like based on what's going on. Let's say that she says she's traveling, busy, unavailable in the near future. Some women, they'll have, finals or tests or studying based on age range and what they're up to. Some will be work, some will be travel, some friend, loved one, sick. They might be sick. When what she's up to indicates she'll be unavailable for a period of time, reply based on positive or negative response when do you get to do that? How's your week so far? So that would be like if she's traveling or doing something like, oh my God, when do you get to do that? How's your week so far? You're getting to find out more about her and like what's going on in her life. And it's so funny putting all of this in like in a form for anyone to use, but like I'll legitimately ask these people because I'm actually curious and excited for them. That being said, like this is how you rapport somebody. You get interested and excited about what they're doing. Reply, how long do you get to do that for? Reply, how long do you get to visit there for? So, and similarly, if it were like a work thing or an office thing, like, oh, when do you get to be free of that? Oh, when I'm so sorry. When do you finally get your life back? Some version of that. So you're building rapport and you're finding about when they're going to be free. I find this form of messaging useful, and it's actually equally as like convenient for them as you, because then you're not just hounding her if she's going to be busy for a while, and then when she's not busy, you can actually like set up a date. So that's number one, and then you can report back a little bit from there. So she'll tell you, be like, oh my God, that must mean a lot to you. That must be, there's so many like rapport nuances that I'm not going to go into here, but it's just useful for you to get an idea of. Like the what you would not want to do is she tells you she's busy. You ask for how long. She says 2 weeks. You say radio silent for, and then like reach out 13 days later or something. No, like you're gonna say, oh my God, well, good luck with that, and maybe she'll respond, or oh my God, is life always like this? Like I kind of like asking that now too to find out a little bit more of just, you know, get a sense of what would a relationship be like with this person, or how would planning dates be. So you can get a lot of information by asking questions that's also interesting and fun and really caring about their perspective of things. So that's the traveling, busy, unavailable in near future. When sick, oh no, that sucks. Feel better. Wait 5 to 7 days and re-engage. She may send things in the meantime, and then um, and by the way, here, yeah, so you would re-engage by saying like, hey, like happy to finally be free of all that work, or hey, how was the trip, or hey, are you still on the trip? So I'll usually reach out like a few days, or when I like know it's kind of the time, like usually I do a few days prior to them being done, but just to re-engage, re-establish, so that way when she's free, um, I'm kind of like top of mind, and it's easy for us to go from there. When sick, oh no, that sucks. Feel better. Wait 5 to 7 days, then re-engage. Obviously, if she wants to keep talking, keep talking. Um, there's a possibility of seeing if she wants to do a date if the conversational momentum is there. Of course, if she responds, you'll have to follow up. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Hey, how are you feeling now? So I would ask that at some point later on. When sick, like I'll send like silly emojis of like a bowl of soup or something, say, hey, I hope you're feeling better, and things like that. You would see some examples of that in the text messages if for my like dating app guidebook. So let me know if you want that. Feel free to opt in for that in whatever link ends up showing up below. And okay, so she reveals it's her birthday. This is actually an interesting one because happy birthday. So what are you doing to celebrate? So again, designed to both celebrate the birthday and learn her plans. She'll often have plans for her birthday. So the goal of this is to talk on a point she's excited about, also learn whether she's doing anything. So again, you're learning about her, learning if she's excited for things. And then if she's, free, well, then you can say something like, I'm pretty sure I've taken a girl out for her birthday before. I must have. But been like, well, let's celebrate. But if she's already doing things, well, saying we should celebrate some other time, and then you'll just move it over eventually. So all of this is to eventually move it back over here to the date request, and it's optional whether you go through some of these other pieces in there. So all of this is sort of your rubric, your guidebook of what to get going. You'll have to make it your own. But when I got started, I legit just basically went straight through these forms of things, and I have clients going through it all the time and getting dates. So here's just a few other general questions. How often do you get to do that? Are you ready for that? When do you get to do that? Are you excited? You must be excited. Are you ready for that? When does that happen? How long do you get to be there for? I think I might have repeated one of those, but that gives you the idea. Yeah, okay, we repeated that one. That gives you the idea of rapporting, hopefully. So this is legitimately designed to get to know her but not at a deep level. The women that I talk to now, I do talk to at a deeper level, and it's because I really do want to get to know them. I want to make sure that it's um, like kind of like that it's worth our times to meet up, and really just make sure that like we are the right fit for each other. But this is really powerful to get you going, especially if you've struggled with dating at all. Like I just remember I just couldn't find anything in the past, so I just wanted to give you. Oh, that's so funny. Okay, so chart overview. I mean, I definitely covered most of this. This chart is designed to give the average guy a good chance at meeting a girl he connects with on a dating site or app. Um, the chance of getting on the date. I will note that this is not a perfect model for an effective date. Not perfect in that people are complicated and subjective in their reactions. I myself do not follow this chart exactly because there are many deviations in how a person might respond that would change from the generic. This being said, the layout and structure does work, so following this format, you will get more dates. Yeah, I mean, it's been my experience. Guys who've used this have got more dates. Okay, cool. We go into the texting primer and then texting rules, and then we're going to call it a wrap for this, guys. I don't quite know how long I've been talking on this, but I'm thrilled. Really, I'm just thrilled to share this with you. Again, I don't know how long I'll be a dating coach. We'll see. I have another project that I'm pretty excited about. Obviously, if there's interest, I'm happy to do it. I've tended to work with very successful men, though I've given women advice, but I've only really worked in true capacity with men. Advice who, they're entrepreneurs, business owners, programmers, founders of companies, gym owners, guys who really have everything together except for their dating, and now they're ready to get into a relationship. And they work with me. We go over the things like this, make it their own, set up their profiles, go over any other strategies they want, whether it's meeting women in person or, they've already are talking to some women but really want clarity on how to make that work. And then they get into relationships really quickly. I feel funny saying an exact time because it does vary person by person. I've had guys get in relationships in less than 30 days, guys in less than 60, certainly in less than 90, but usually less than 60 is the norm. And so yeah, it's really cool. And these are guys who aren't Rico Suave in any way. Although I've had guys who like really do have their shit together, and you'd be pretty surprised. You're like, wow, I didn't expect a guy like this to need help. But heck, we all need help at something. So okay, so texting primer. The goal of texting, whether over your phone, online, or in an app, serves one and only one purpose: to get to meet in person. And I really do think this, like, in person is generally the goal in general. Even between dates, the goal is to meet with them again. So if you are already with her in person, your best bet is to have a conversation, go deeper with it, and even have a date or more on the spot. Yeah, so this is just advice I have for guys. Like, yeah, go ahead and get her number or something, but if you can just on the spot, just do it. Just see if you can go on a date. If that fits your schedule, if that fits hers. I get if you're a busy guy, probably not. But then you would follow up with this. But the more you can get to know her in person, the more likely the date will lock in. But again, we are kind of talking more on dating apps in this perspective. But seriously, I use this strategy, whether dating app, whether meeting in person, like regardless, like I go into this format. Although if I am meeting in person, I'll usually already have the date pretty much lined up. So I'll have found out her schedule. I'll have found out what she likes to do or what we're going to do together and confirm that. So really, the dating, the texting is just to finalize, to confirm, build rapport, keep that bridge open in the meantime, so that she continues to build trust, feel comfortable with me. Girl's not going to go on a date with you if she doesn't feel comfortable with you and doesn't trust you. Okay, so if you all are already with her yeah, okay, you have the best date. If this is impossible, the next best option is get her number and agree to hanging out in the near future. The more specific and soon the date is, the more likely it is to happen. Maybe I'll go into that in some other video, but because I have a guide for that too. I used to teach a course or a workshop, a 2-hour workshop on how to go from meeting a stranger to agreeing to meet up again, whether it was for just being friends, whether dates or whatever. But I mean, like, none of this is Unfortunately, none of this is complicated, but we're not taught the right way to do it, or the internet is filled with all kinds of crap. So it's hard to sift through and find the right stuff. So my goal here, hopefully, and hopefully it showed up, is to make it as easy as possible. So were I to do one of those, whether it's a workshop or just another one of these recordings, I'd love to hear feedback you guys have on this. Um, I would make it as succinct as possible. It's kind of always my goal. Like, I just think there's a lot of time wasted and a lot of time looking into ridiculous things like limiting beliefs when maybe you just don't know how to do something yet. So, okay, so the process is straightforward. Is as straightforward of a way as I've ever seen. Build some rapport, asking open-ended questions related to their profile or response to your opening question. So spend 1 to 3 of your text doing that. Ask questions related to her schedule. Ask for the date. Set up the date. First day, then time and place. Get her number. Reconfirm the date if it's not the same day. So yeah, that's the steps. That's the steps of this entire flow chart. That's the steps. So, okay. So now let's go into the texting rules. Rarely discussed, but crucial to the date setup is following these rules. 1-to-1 ratio. By default, you should only send one message, then wait till you receive a response, then send the next message. This rule eliminates double texting, which frequently comes off as needy and clingy. So yeah, when you're messaging, really this comes down to the mirroring concept, the one-to-one concept. So based on how she's messaging you, you want to kind of reflect that back. So if she's sending message after message after message, you can do a little bit more of that, but you're rarely going to ever want to message more than her. It just comes off. She can just quickly be like, "What's going on? Why is this guy like so needy, messaging me all these messages?" So, so I will like double text if she double messages, but generally I'm going to stick to this 1-to-1 ratio or send what I need to send in a single message, unless there's some reason to be confusing, which is the kind of an outlier situation. Now, 3 lines max. Be efficient with language. More than 3 lines of text is an indicator you might be oversharing. Again, this is needy and clingy. So I've sort of adjusted this rule, but it's a really good way to start. So 3 lines max. See, so we're talking any of these apps that you have on your phone. Can you consolidate your message to 3 lines? Usually, when I review guys' messages, there's a lot of like fluff in there, and by fluff I mean lots of just little phrases that are unnecessary or can be tightened up. Understand when people are looking at their phone generally. So all of this is about women because I'm talking to men about how to set up a date. But I mean, this is just people. This isn't women specifically. This is people. Generally speaking, you want to keep it sort of concise so it's easy for them to read. So that's why I would recommend 3 lines max. You can make some adjustments based on how long her messages are, though. 2 ideas max per message. This is to eliminate confusion. So 2 ideas would be your rapport builder when needed, and then a follow-up question. So I don't count the being excited, the exclamation, the affirming of her, acknowledging what she's saying, like the oh nice, how cool is that? That's so fun. Those don't count. But the next things, like I've always wanted to skydive. Skydiving must have been the most fun thing you've ever done. So statement about you, statement about her, and then that question. So there's optionally a statement about you or her, then a question. Each message must end with a follow-up. She needs the prompt to know it's her turn to respond. This is so important. Generally a question. Once you get more familiar with the girl, you might be able to do like an ellipses, a dot, 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 and then she'll respond. If you get really comfortable or don't mind kind of throwing something out there, you can just leave a comment. I'll do those things these days, mainly because I'm legitimately just messaging kind of, and I know I can recover it if I need to. So getting started, I would just stick to questions because she'll respond to a question. No lone periods. These are generally too serious. The caveat would be if the girl uses single periods and it can match her style. I pretty much agree with that. No pic requests and no dick pics. I don't know why this needs to be said, but I guess it does. just don't send dick pics. Like, don't be fucking creepy. And then don't make pic requests. Like, it's just weird. I mean, I guess you can request to go on like a phone date or like a video thing if you want to like get a feel for her. But dude, guys are so friggin' weird. Just don't do it. Like, look at her pictures and decide. If you're on the fence, but you're hoping for the best, go. Worst case, is like didn't work out. Um, it's a really it's just a weird thing to do. Girls get pretty weirded out by that. And by the way, things like pick requests, which you really can only do once you get her number. Although it might vary by apps, some apps probably will allow it. Um, that's a reason women don't give out their number or are slow to give it out. That's why you want to actually learn these like rapport strategies. And again, I really hope that this is in good hands. So anyhow, so that's the way everything works. I'd be very interested to hear what you have to say. Really hope this is in good hands. If for some reason, like enough weirdos or I don't know, if for some reason like this doesn't end up being in the best interest of all parties involved, then I will take this video down. Um, but I trust there's enough good guys out there that just want a little bit of help and want to get advice on how to do it. So, yeah, so if you stuck in this long, that's awesome. And, feel free to leave a comment, ask me a question, and opt in for that. Let me know if you're actually interested in the Tinder book. So if you opt in for it, I'm assuming you're interested in, or the dating app book. If you opt in, I'm assuming you're interested in it. The way it'll be designed is to give you the framework for any of the dating apps. So I go into specificity here for this. I'll talk about photos. I'll talk about sort of the way to think about dating apps, the way to think about setting up the date. I won't go into the actual conversation on the date. That's just kind of beyond the scope, but certainly kind of like how to think about the date and then also the actual messaging that I've done, and then also how to like organize your profile pictures to maximize your chances of getting a date, how to find a photographer if you don't have those things figured out yet. So yeah, curious to get your feedback, and I really wish you the best. I know it's been a really weird world. That's actually one of the reasons I'm sharing this is like this doesn't need to be hard. Um, it feels a little weird sometimes, like breaking rapport and messaging down to this level, but it can be, and it doesn't have to be complicated. You don't need to be silly. You don't need to be tricky. You don't need to be super clever. That will usually get in your way more than it will help you. Um, I say this. I've been on hundreds of first dates. I couldn't tell you how many. I've talked to tens of thousands of people in the last handful of years. I've coached dozens of men one on one. My book has reached more than 1,000. I've given presentations to hundreds of men. So I mean, I have a feeling this is going to work for you too. So I really wish you the best, and yeah, let me know what you think. Bye for now.